So this is similar to the practice strike that was held last week at their downtown LA facility. The union says that national bargaining collapsed yesterday after UPS failed to propose an acceptable economic package for its 340,000 employees. The bargaining deadline, as you mentioned, is on July 31st. And if a contract is not reached by then, they say they're prepared to stage what would be the largest Teamster strike in American history. Now, the two sides have been trying to reach a deal to keep UPS customers from moving their business to rival delivery services. Organizers say there are two main points here.
One of the reasons is to make sure that my Teamster brothers and sisters know how to picket. We're here to practice. We're here to learn the do's and don'ts of a picket line. And second, the most important one is to make sure that UPS understands that we mean business. UPS needs to understand that Gardena right here and 340,000 members nationwide are ready to strike if we have to.
We've got thousands and thousands of you in here. It's great to see. Please type your name and local in the chat if you would, so we can see everybody who's here. My name is Greg Kerwood. I'm a local 25 UPS Teamster and shop steward, and I'm also an elected member of the TDU steering committee. Today's call is sponsored by UPS Teamsters United, which is a campaign of Teamsters for a Democratic Union. TDU is a network of Teamsters who inform and involve members to win better contracts and build union power from the bottom up. We're going to hear from three speakers from our international union today, the coordinator of the package division and two members of the general executive board. And then we will hear from members who are active in their local unions. TDU and UPS Teamsters United support the international union's contract campaign. We are independent of the IBT. Our agenda for today includes an update on negotiations. We will discuss why contract talks broke down, the big question, what happens now, and how we will win, and how you, as rank and file members and activists, can be involved. This last one is the most important one. We are here to give you an update, but most importantly, we are here to get you to be involved. If you want to win the contract we deserve, you need to inform other members. You need to build unity. You need to stick together. And you need to take action. And that is what TDU and UPS Teamsters United is all about. At the end of this webinar, you will get an email with a bargaining update and a link to take action. To get involved, click that Take Action link and fill it out. We will get back to you. More than 8,000 people registered for this webinar, which is incredible. Our involvement and our power is growing. Let's do this. First, for our bargaining update, I want to introduce Brother Johnny Sawyer. Brother Sawyer is the coordinator of the IBT package division. He has played a key role in these negotiations. He is here to give us a bargaining update and explain why contract negotiations broke down. Take it away, Brother Sawyer.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. And I appreciate all the thousands of people who have taken their time here on Sunday morning to get on this call, to get updated on what's going on with these negotiations. As Greg said, my name is Johnny Sawyer. I'm Secretary Treasurer of Local 822 in Norfolk, Virginia, the home of Vice President James Wright. And it's a pleasure to be on here. I want to just talk about what happened last week, why the talks broke down. We'd made a tremendous amount of progress in negotiations. And a great deal of that is because of the membership involvement, because we've had stewards on calls, we've had members get on calls, we had members in the parking lots, letting UPS know that this is a different negotiation than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And I can say that with confidence because I've been involved for that long. And this is a different animal than it has been. UPS is not used to this in your face, people pushing back. They are used to more of a go along, get along attitude. And frankly, I don't think they really know what to do. And the reason for that is the member involvement. But contract negotiations broke down because UPS threw up their hands and said, that's all the money we have. That's all we've got. They made over 13 billion in profits. They made over $100 billion in revenue. But yet they come to us with a plan to pit certain classifications against one another. And we're just not going to entertain that. The negotiating committee is 100% unified over this. We're not going in for any kind of, split us up and divide and conquer motive that they have. It's not happening with this committee, and it's not happening with this membership. We're gonna deliver on exactly what our members told us they needed and had to have, and that includes more pay for part-timers, better starting pay for part-timers, appropriate increases for full-timers. We're not going to let them give in one area and take away in another. This is not a cost-neutral contract. It's going to be the most expensive contract for them ever, as it should be, because their profits are through the roof compared to what they have been. Basically, because our members went out there during the pandemic, risked their lives, delivered the goods, delivered the service, and now it's time to pay up. And that's where we are. We're going to move forward from here. The company knows exactly what they need to do to get a deal, to get an agreement, and we're waiting for their call. They're losing business as we speak, but this is on them. They've got the money to deliver the contract that our members deserve, and they foolishly believe that they can just withhold that, and it's not going to work with this negotiating committee, and it's not going to work with this membership. So that's where we are. We will continue to update our membership. We'll continue to let people know what's going on, but that's where we are right now. I'm sure you saw the general president all over TV this weekend, CNN, MSNBC, and he is making it very clear that it's up to UPS. They're either going to put themselves on strike, or they're going to give us the money that we need, that our members need and deserve in this contract. So with that, that's where we are. David or Greg, then I'll turn it back over to you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day. We appreciate you being here. So the number one question that I am getting, and probably most of you are getting, or maybe most of you are asking, is what happens now? And that's going to be our focus for today. So to start us off with that, I want to introduce Brother Vincent Perrone. Brother Perrone is an IBT trustee, the Eastern Region Director for the Package Division, and the President of Teamsters Local 804, which represents 8,000 UPS Teamsters in Metro New York. He is UPS's enemy and our friend. He's going to tell us about the plans in New York and what they're doing in one of UPS's biggest markets. Take it away, Vinny.
Thank you, Greg. Could you hear me okay? I'm assuming that's a yes. I just want to thank everybody for being on this call. What happens next is, after several weeks, month and more of negotiations, we are back home, and I'm going to fix that broken light that we have behind us. I'm going to try to get my grass cut and my above ground pool turned blue again instead of green, and take my kid up for orientation because he's starting college. But I'm really glad to be home, because I don't want to be in front of UPS management's negotiators anymore. I'm glad to be back home with the members. Me, like everybody else, is pretty much done with them just wasting our times. It's just a delay tactic. We've seen it over the years. We've seen it this year at supplemental negotiations. And like Johnny said, when UPS is ready to pay up and settle this, they know exactly where to find us. Well, until then, we as a Teamster union and here in Local 804, we're going to continue doing what we do best. We're going to bring the fight to the buildings. We're going to practice picket. We're going to show this company that we mean business, and we're going to show them the leverage that we have. They're going to come back to the table eventually and give us what we need for our members, or like Sean's been saying for a year. This has been a year. He's been saying they're going to strike themselves. So they could come back to the table and give the members what they need. They got plenty of money, and we're going to make them share it. That's an old saying from 1997. After I left DC, actually before I left, we had practice picketing starting already. When I came back, we hammered them after 4th of July with 3 consecutive days, hitting 17 buildings all across our local. We've had elected officials coming, AOC, Brad Lander, everybody's coming out of the woodwork to help us, because we're going to need everybody's help and support. Every day, people are standing with us. Okay. We're going to keep up the pressure. General President O'Brien, Secretary Treasurer Fred Zuckerman, they're going to be touring the country as they've been since we took office. They're going to start it off in New York. This Friday and Saturday, they're going to be here. We're going to do building site visits. We're going to do practice picketing. All right. Well, Sean's going to be here. Fred's going to be somewhere else. And we're going to be talking to our full-timers and part-time inside workers. Local 804 has been doing the practice picketing. We've been sending UPS a really strong message. Usually they come out, they send security out to see what we're doing. They are hiding inside the buildings. On Saturday, we're going to hold a rally with the General President. New York is a union town. Our Joint Council 16 has 23 locals. They're all already committing their support behind us. We know we're going to get help from Teamsters, from other unions. We're taking out messages directly to the public and to our customers. We're thinking about going out to customers' locations and having them sign petitions and sign letters of commitment that they support us, putting placards in their windows. We're going to do all of this because UPS delivers for their customers. All right. Wall Street, it's very important. Wall Street is going to blame us for UPS's problems. It's not us. UPS is doing this to themselves. They have the money to take care of everybody. Okay. Main Street, UPS customers, they're going to understand that on August 1st, if there is a strike, it's going to be UPS that's doing it because they don't care. Their propaganda machine has already started up talking about how much money they pay part-timers. And like Johnny said, all they're going to do is try to divide and conquer us. But guess what? We're not going to be divided and we're not going to be conquered. Greg?
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate it. Now we're going to move from New York to Chicago. Our next speaker is Brother Juan Campos. Juan is an International Union Vice President and President of Teamsters Local 705, which represents more than 13,000 UPS Teamsters in Chicago. UPS cannot operate without Chicago and cash. And Juan has plans to show the company that Chicago Teamsters are united. Take it away, Juan.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in on one of the most important possible strikes coming up in the next couple of weeks. I just wanted to thank everybody and look forward to being on the picket lines with you guys, if that's what UPS calls for. As my brothers have said earlier, this is UPS asking for it. It's not us. We are at the table. We want to negotiate a contract that is what the members deserve. If you remember these last 2 years, they called you heroes. They said you guys were essential workers. They said all that. And now is the time that they could put their money where their mouth is. And for some reason, they forgot those two key words, essential and heroes. Or if that's their way of trying to reward you, we're certainly not on board with that. So as we go into negotiations and have been preparing for negotiations, those are the key words that we echo. Without you, those $100 billion or $13 billion in profit wouldn't be possible. We lost a lot of brothers and sisters during this horrific COVID, and that we cannot forget. And when we fight, we're also fighting for them who are not here. But with that, as Brother Greg introduced me, my name is Juan Campos. I'm Secretary Treasurer Local 705 here in Chicago. And I am very fortunate and lucky to be your International Vice President at large. With that said, I do come from UPS. I understand those bastards very well. And every time I'm in front of them, I know one thing. When their lips are moving, they're lying. And I'll never be disappointed. But with that said, let me tell you what we're doing here in Chicago. In Chicago, we represent close to 13,000 members. Later in this conversation, we're going to talk about my brothers and sisters in 710, how they are going to be instrumental in this movement in Chicago. As you well know, Chicago is a very, very important area for UPS. A lot of packages move through here. We have the hub, one of the biggest hubs which is catch, over 5,000 members in that building, which will be critical to their ability to move product. But let me just tell you what we've done prior to this. We've had quite a few meetings to teach our members about how to prepare for a strike. We taught them how to make sure that they made double payments to their bills, don't go buy a new car, don't get into expensive properties or stuff like that into this contract is ratified. We also had, for the first time, strike captains classes. This is to prepare our people who are going to be manning the strike lines on a 24 hours. What is their responsibilities on the strike? The last thing we want to do is to try to tell people what the rules are and how to engage, which one wrong move could cost the union an injunction and or millions of dollars. So we've had quite a few strike captain meetings, and those who attended that meeting will be captains on the strike line. With that, we moved on to quite a few blitzes in the buildings to go talk to members verbally and one-on-one to let them know what we're doing and what's going on with their contracts and what they could do and what we could do to better position ourselves. Again, we don't want to strike. It's UPS that's asking for the strike when they don't want to reward you for what you have done for them. Some of the things that we're going to be doing in the near future is we're going to start hitting 3 different buildings each day, and we're going to do practice picketing. While we're doing practice picketing on these locations and letting the members get a feel of what we do, because we have a lot of new ones, we're also going to go hit customers. We're going to make customer contact, let them know what's going on so that they understand when UPS propaganda starts hitting that we're greedy and we're selfish. We're going to tell them the real reasons. $15 an hour just doesn't cut it for our part-timers. We don't have the proper safety protections in those buildings and around the country. So we're going to make them aware of our issues before corporate America tries to take on a saint role and making us look like the mean people. The other thing we're going to be doing is blowing the whistle on UPS greed. We're going to have those whistles every time we see supervisors or any of that stuff. We're going to remind them that we want what's due to us, and that is part of the pie. They made billions of dollars. We want some of it. The other thing we're going to try to do is ambulatory picketing, just practicing. We're going to teach these guys how to make sure that if we go on strike, what we need to do to chase vehicles, how to position ourselves in key customer areas so that we don't violate any laws or stuff like that. So we're going to have a couple of things going on in Chicago to prepare our guys, but more importantly, to make the public understand what's going on and the truth behind this. This is all greed. They make money. They don't want to part with it, although they called us heroes and essential. When it's time to reward you, they don't want to do it. On Friday, I'm glad to announce that we are going to be working with our brothers and sisters at 710. Brother Mike Kales and brother Del Schaefer has agreed to combine our 2 locals. Why that is so important is that we represent in Chicago 13,000 members. In 710 in Chicago area, they represent over 8,000. So over 20,000 Teamster UPSers will be on strike. Nothing will move in Chicago. And collectively, we're going to work together to make sure that we bring UPS to their knees and to the table to reward our members, just like you guys, because they're the reasons why they're so successful. We'll also have some politicians with us. We have our joint council that'll have some members out there. And more importantly, we're going to make the customers and the public aware of corporate greed, once again, rearing its ugly head. I believe what Brother Sawyer said is 100% dead on. The company is trying to pit one classification against another. We are Teamsters. I don't care if you're a part-timer and I don't care if you're a full-timer. You're Teamsters. We need to be treated like Teamsters. And we are not going to sell out one classification to reward another. They have the money. Our job is to take it from them, take what we deserve, and then leave a little bit for them so that they can continue to grow. But at the end of the day, this is going to be something that we all have to do. And I'll leave you with this. All our lives, we learned one thing. If you do not stand up to a bully, they're going to continue to bully you. If they're not going to bully you, they're going to bully your friend, or they're going to bully you that friend. At some point, we're taught, stand up to our bullies. No one had to pay us to do this. We knew it was essential to do this in order for us to survive. The good thing is there's 1.3 million Teamsters that are going to stand up to this goddamn bully. And we're going to take them on, and we're going to goddamn win. With that, I leave you, brothers and sisters, and I'll send it right back to Brother Greg.
Thank you, Juan. Appreciate those words. Our next speaker was a Teamsters communication coordinator and strategist during the 1997 UPS strike. He's been involved in a lot of union struggles since then. And today he is an organizer with Teamsters for a Democratic Union. My good friend Rand Wilson is here to say a word about the company's strategy and how we need to respond to that. Take it away, Rand.
Hey, thanks, Greg. It was great to see you yesterday at 4 o'clock in the morning at the Amazon picket line. Here we are again. Look, after talks broke down on July 5th, many members wondered, what do we do now? And Vinny and Juan have just laid that out very well. Across the country, Teamsters are working on all fronts to maintain our strength and keep building unity. But let's take a step back. We need to look at what the company is up to and understand what their strategy is as well. Earlier, Brother Sawyer explained that UPS's first strategy was to lowball our negotiators, try to get them to sell out one group of Teamsters for another. Well, we know that now UPS is going to try to increase the pressure on the National Committee and on the membership. They're going to the media and to the elected officials, to politicians, and they're warning that a strike will hurt the economy and the public. They're going to the members, spreading rumors and trying to use divide and conquer tactics. They're going to threaten layoffs and to try to blame the union for scaring away customers. But the reality is that the company can settle any time and not lose any more customers. It's totally on them. UPS wants to weaken our bargaining leverage by pitting full-timers against part-timers. We've heard that. They want us fighting over an economic package that's far too small so they can avoid paying what they owe. That's the company's playbook. They're trying to get the upper hand when negotiations eventually resume. It's not going to work because we have really good cards to play too. And we have the ultimate card, a strike. A strike will cost UPS billions of dollars. It will be much cheaper for them to settle without a strike, but they're going to test Teamsters first. So, as we said earlier, what do we do now? We are going to keep building our unity so that when the National Negotiations Committee returns to the bargaining table, they have even more leverage than before. We're going to be stronger. First, Sean and Fred are going to be going around the country talking to members. Vinny mentioned that Sean's first stop is in New York. Sean and Fred will be in every region, meeting up in Atlanta, UPS's hometown, on July 22nd. Save that date. Sean and Fred can't talk to every UPSer, and that's why we've got to do that. Teamster to Teamster, worker to worker, member to member, sharing information, discouraging rumors and division, and building our strength while we maintain our unity in the home stretch. The best way to build unity is through actions. Practice picketing, parking lot meetings, leafleting, These actions bring Teamsters together, and that puts pressure on the company. Believe me, management is taking notice of what's going on. We're going to be making our case to customers and the public. That was a good idea in 1997, and it's just as important now. At the very beginning of this webinar, you saw Carlos Silva talking to the media. The public likes UPS workers. They are sympathetic to our issues. Usually, it's hard to get media attention for a labor story, but not in this case, and we're going to use that opportunity to keep the public on our side. The best way to build public support? By taking action. Talk to your local officers. Invite other union members and community groups and local politicians to your practice picketing events. Reach out to customers. Juan and Vinny have a plan of sending UPS drivers and part-timers out together to talk to customers. We won't be bad-mouthing the company, but we've got to make sure that customers know who's to blame if their deliveries stop on August 1st. Now we've got the picture of what the company will try to do over the next 2 weeks and how we are going to counter it. Here's the important part. We have to make sure that whenever negotiations resume, we have even more bargaining leverage and we win for all UPSers. First, keep your coworkers informed. UPS Teamsters United has a new bargaining leaflet and a campaign update. We will be emailing it to everyone after this webinar, and it will be posted on the UPS Teamsters United and TDU websites. Download it, copy it, distribute it at the gates. You can pass it out at UPS in any non-work area as long as you're on non-work time. Get some of your coworkers to help you and do it together. That makes it go even better. Second thing, more practice picketing. This has been amazing. It's exploded all across the country. Check out TDU's Facebook page to see some amazing pictures of workers at so many different locals practice picketing. Got to keep that up. Talk to your local union or organize it on your own. You can get signs and a do's and don'ts tip sheet from TDU on our website. Think about mixing it up with a blow the whistle on corporate greed parking lot action. We did that in 1997 and it drove management crazy. Every local has whistles from IBT. If you can organize a parking lot meeting or a rally, contact TDU and we'll send you whistles. Supplies are pretty limited, but if you can make it happen, we will get you the whistles you need. Make some signs and say, we're blowing the whistle on corporate greed or part-time poverty blows, and have some fun. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to hear some reports from members who are organizing these actions. And for that, I'll kick it back to Brother Kerwood. Greg?
Thanks, Rand. Appreciate all that information. We are going to hear from some rank and file members about what they're doing in their buildings. But I do want to reiterate some of what Rand just said and what Vinny and Juan alluded to. There's a two-pronged approach to this. We need to get everybody together on the same page. That's what we do by taking action at the buildings, talking to our members, talking to our brothers and sisters, getting this bargaining update that you're going to be emailed after this call, sharing it with one another. And then the second prong is obviously the importance of getting the public involved. The public is on our side. I literally 10 minutes before this call talked to someone out in front of my house who saw my shirt and wanted to know all about it and expressed her support. We simply need to get the word out there and we need to tell people the truth. I tell my guys that every day when you're out there on the road, when somebody asks, like Rand said, you don't need to badmouth the company, just tell them the truth. Tell them the truth about what goes on at UPS, why we're fighting, what we're fighting for, and how important it is to us that we win the respect and the dignity that we deserve. So now we're going to talk a little bit about practice picketing. It's exploded across the country. Many of you have probably seen the photos and the pictures from everywhere. It makes a great visual. It has a great impact on the public, has a great impact on the company, has a great impact on politicians and other corporations that may be watching. It's very visible, and it's a fantastic tool that we can use to keep this movement going. So first, we're going to hear from Louisville Local 89, Brother David Thornsbury, who's a Local 89 organizer and a TDU member, who's been helping organize practice picketing in Louisville, and Brother Mike Hinton, a Local 89 business agent. So take it away, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, here in Local 89, things have been going really well. We've had several just practicing job actions last week, 2 at our largest UPS facility at Worldport and 1 at Centennial Hub. And normally what we've been doing a day or 2 before the job action, we do a handout to the members, obviously talking about the date and time of the job action or the just practicing job action, talk about do's and don'ts, educating the members. And boy, did these members turn out in big force. Each and every one of these job actions so far have been very well attended, from new members to very high senior members, well over 30 years of seniority. And it's been good to see that. Members have been telling us over and over again that they have a chance once every 5 years to get things right at UPS. And they're really wanting to take advantage of it, especially now. So it's been going really well. The media has been latching on to these job actions, to just practicing picket lines. And it's been all over the news, and especially all UPS has to do is look out their window. So it's been really good to see. We have several more to happen, and the chants that these folks that have been doing and the marches outside the facilities have been inspiring, and it's just building on each other. So I'll turn it over to Mike Hinton to talk about our future plans, because it's not stopping. It's starting to steamroll now.
Yeah, we've started already with a few buildings, and we have every other building planned to have one. We've even had them on day sort at LCH. It's one of the hubs there as well. What I try to do is make it a little more exciting with the whistle. We're blowing the whistle on the company, but when I hand everybody a whistle, they look at me like I'm nuts. And they're like, what's this whistle for? So what I do with the whistle is I kind of start a thing where if you think your wages blow, and then everybody blows their whistle. If you think Carol Tomei blows, everybody blows their whistle. And you just pick up on the momentum of that. And you can find all kinds of things. You know, the conditions, they blow, everything blows. And people just keep blowing that whistle. The part-timers really get involved with that. And once again, it's spreading enthusiasm throughout our local and throughout our union. And then I end everything reminding everyone that you're not a UPSer that happens to be a Teamster. You're a Teamster that happens to work at UPS. And that really seems to hit home with everybody and works well. But the whistles, I think if you'll use them and make them fun, people really get into them, and they're taking them inside and blowing them until somebody tells them to stop. So that's what we've been doing.
Excellent. Thank you, brothers. Appreciate that. Now we're going to go to Washington, D.C., Local 639, package steward Chris Paiva, and longtime part-timer and now business agent, my good friend Carthy Boston. Take it away, you two.
Hey, Greg. Good to see you guys.
Hey, guys. Nice to see you. My name's Chris Paiva. I'm out of Local 639. I'm an RPCD driver and a steward. As this past week, on Friday, we had a practice picket outside of the Landover and DC buildings. To prepare for this, I went and got into my network. I called TDU first, asked if they could help me make a flyer, help me start some of my planning. Once I had the tools, I started calling leaders, stewards, organizers, people that had showed interest in taking action. We all sent out mass text messages, planned a day to hand out flyers, had a lot of one-on-one conversations, talking to members about the importance of what we were doing, getting into these actions, what we were fighting for. And honestly, the response was just amazing. We had probably over quadruple what we were expecting. At minimum 200 participants. Members had come down. We had full-timers, part-timers, community supporters. People were even I mean, just, it was amazing to look up the street and just see hundreds of part-timers, full-timers, everyone standing shoulder to shoulder, like people from the community there showing their support for us. And as people were walking into their shifts, they were handing off their signs to other members that were coming out of the building or just showing up in the parking lot. And they were excited. They were happy that we were doing these actions. They were asking questions and they wanted more. They want to show UPS that we're tired of all the BS we've been putting up with the last couple of years, and that they want change and they're willing to strike for it. A lot of questions that were asked, especially moving forward, is, how can we get more information? What other actions will be taken? I just told everyone, I'm going to pass it out as much as I can. I'll use my network to pass it out. This upcoming week, to keep the momentum going, we're going to be passing out strike benefits, things of that nature, contract updates. And in my local, another building is planning a practice picket this upcoming Wednesday. My network is already hard at work, getting organized, passing out the information. I just want to let everybody know, you don't have to wait on anyone to do this for you. You can have 1 year of seniority, 1 month of seniority, 25 years of seniority. You can be a part-timer, you can be an RPCD. As a Teamster, as a unionist, it's up to you to organize, keep everybody informed, and fight for what belongs to you, plain and simple. At the end of the day, dues make you a member, action makes you a Teamster. So I'm going to give it to my business agent, one of the toughest Teamsters and all around, Harthy Boston.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just want to focus on a few things. Like Chris said it all. It's so important to have community engagement. One of the key things that I learned throughout this practice picketing was to know your building culture. I get around to my buildings a whole lot. Everybody knows that. And I just got key people involved in trying to get people out there. It's a network. It's a three-prong approach. It's just not one approach to it, to get all those people out there. Like Chris Pavia said, it's all of us getting involved. I got my senior steward, I can't thank him enough, Carl Riekers, who really dug into talking to people. It's about the talking points. All right. And I was out there the day before with key leaders in the building, myself, Chris, Carl, Steve, Keenan, handing out flyers. But it's not just about handing out flyers, because sometimes those flyers end up in the garbage, unfortunately, in places that we don't want it to end up. And you need to talk to the people, talk to them when you're giving the talking points, share with them, listen, guys, we need you out there and why. I think our success is wavering on that we talk to the people while giving them the talking points and not just a flyer. You also need to look at centering the message around the key issues when you're having a practice picketing. It's a very challenging thing to organize, but if you focus on the talking points and the things that people rally around, like my drivers in my building, they're very upset that they work on Saturdays. Part-timers are very upset. I mean, I've been a part-timer for almost 17 years, coming out of part-time to become a business agent. So I kind of know my culture of my building as well. Upset, I had to work on Saturdays and not get paid double time or time and a half for those Saturdays. All right, so those are the key issues that we target to get part-timers to attend. All the units need to be involved. We had people out there that were 22/4s, part-timers, full-time drivers, inside workers. Really tap into that for part-timers. They held it down for us. They held it down for the full-timers who had to go back to work. So when we had that practice picket, it was nice to see part-timers holding it down at the end. So we didn't waver until maybe 10 o'clock. Part-timers were still out there when they got out. They joined us on the picket line. They didn't lose any work, just like full-time drivers who went back in the building to do that. One of the things I'd also like to stress is to get your local union involved. All right, because practice picketing has a lot of do's and don'ts. You just don't want to go out there and do it without the local support. And if you do it without the local support, make sure you're aware of the do's and don'ts and contact an organization like TDU to go over the do's and don'ts of what you can do and what you can't, because there's blowback that can come from that, especially with litigation issues. Unity counts. It's so important to have unity in this fight. I can't do it alone. We are all in this together. This is not the time to be a divided Teamster. I think you guys heard that a lot through all the people that spoke today, but it's important to have unity in this fight. It's not about the part-timers, not about the full-timers. We are one Teamster. We cannot achieve this with having the division. And when you hear the fires that management light, which is you're going to be unemployed if we go on strike. You're going to be this and that. You need to out them. I can steal one word from our general president. It's the word liabilities. The company has liabilities. They lie a lot. So we need to find out what the antidote is. And the antidote to me is truth. All right. So you need to be out there outing those fires. And anytime you hear that lie, you need to out it with the vaccine of truth. All right. So that's important. And last but not least, forget about the temporary fights. This is the long-term fight. All right. Get engaged in the long-term fight with your local. And if you don't have that help, get us involved, pick up the phone, call us. We're all reachable. We can share you tips to get that started. As practice picketing, like I said, it's very strategic. You have to have all those things in place. We are one Teamster, we're one family. And together, I believe we can get a better contract. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Carthy, and thank you, Chris. We're running a little long here, but we've got a couple more speakers, so we're going to be very quick with the last two. We want to wrap this up by quarter of. Next up, we've got Jenny Beckenstein from Local 396. She's going to talk about parking lot meetings and blowing the whistle on UPS greed. Take it away, Jenny.
Thank you. Cool. Hi, I'm Jenny. Yeah, I'm part of Local 396. I'm a part-timer on the preload shift. And yeah, just to say, we had our practice picket last week. It was very successful, big turnout, a lot of energy, and a lot of also full-time and part-time unity, because we did it basically between the time that before drivers go in and after part-timers get out. So we got to do it together a bit. And then we were on the street outside of our hub. So we got to have like all the UPS drivers driving by us as they were leaving the hub. So that was great. So now we have to keep up the momentum over the next 2 weeks. And something we got during the practice picket was whistles. So we're going to be using them around the building to basically put more pressure on the company as the contract fight goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And last but not least, we're going to hear from a brother I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks ago, our brother Jeff Moore from Tennessee Local 480. Take it away, Jeff.
Hey, thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, Teamsters United, for the intro and everything and this great opportunity. I'm very humbled and happy to be here to speak to you guys. As he said, my name is Jeff. I'm a former teacher turned Teamster. I'm located in the heart of West Tennessee, and I'm with Local 480 representing Tennessee. So as a former school teacher, one thing I always like to do before I would teach was tell the people why we do the things that we do. So before we actually got into how we did them or what we did them, we quickly said why. So why the whistle? Why the practice picket? Why the webinars? Okay, I'm going to tell you why. We have to get the power back on the shop floor, because we need to send a signal to this company that we will strike them if we have to. Okay, if they need a history lesson, I can remind them of the many times that the Teamsters were not afraid to challenge the corporate oligarchs of this country. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Okay, that's why we're spending our Sundays here like we are now. We have to build the morale. We have to unify. Okay, so we will use these whistles. Okay, we're going to use them when we see supervisors working. We're going to do them when we do our practice picketing. Ours is next week, or sorry, ours is scheduled for Thursday. We've got local news coming in. And we're going to make a big racket. We'll blow them in unison. These things are going to be super loud and piss a lot of people off. It's going to be awesome. So if you see any injustice on the shop floor, blow the whistle. Okay, that's what this is for. This is to agitate. We have to agitate, educate, and then we have to activate everybody. Now, the potential is there for this country, for this movement, and for us to rewrite history, but potential really means nothing without action. So we can all be a part of this. We are all going to lead the resurgence of the working people in this country by continuing to do what the Teamsters do. Okay, so blow the whistle, practice picket, and let's remind these people at UPS that we will strike their ass if we need to. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Solidarity forever. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you, Jeff. So now it's time for you to take action. If you want the contract that you deserve, that we all deserve, we've got to fight for it. After this Zoom, you're going to get an email and a text with a take action link. Please click that link and let us know that you will pass out the bargaining update leaflets. Tell us your practice picketing and action plans. If you can organize a practice picket or blow the whistle action and you need whistles or signs from TDU, please let us know. You may be wondering, who pays for all this free stuff? Well, first of all, this stuff is not free. Just this webinar alone cost $2,500 to pay for the Zoom account. The Teamsters Union does not pay for that, and UPS certainly doesn't pay for that. TDU and UPS Teamsters United is our rank and file organization. It is funded by donations and TDU membership dues from Teamsters just like me and just like you. We're a grassroots fight, and we help Teamsters help other Teamsters. If you appreciate this information and if you appreciate these action plans, then please help out. Join TDU or donate something to cover part of the cost if you can. A one-year TDU membership is just $50, $25 for part-timers, and that money will go to fuel this contract campaign. If you're not ready to join, you can donate a few bucks, $20, $10, $5, whatever you can. Just click the link in the follow-up email, and that money will go to pay for the next webinar and to fight for our contract. Lastly, just want to discuss the TDU convention. We are going to be celebrating our contract victory and making plans for the future, including contract enforcement, which is the second half of this battle, and organizing Amazon, which is the bigger battle at our TDU convention. It's scheduled for November 3rd to 5th in Chicago. I've been to a couple of them now. I can't tell you enough what a great experience it is, the connections you make with people, the education you get. It's a fantastic experience, and I recommend it highly to anyone who can go. And it's also fun. You can get $100 off the registration cost when you register by August 1st. And I just want to take time right now to thank all of our speakers, both from the IBT and all of our rank and file members who spoke. And thanks to all of you for joining. We had nearly 5,000 people on here today. Once again, you'll get an email after this with the bargaining update and the take action link. Please click on that link and someone will call you to get you what you need. Before we go, I do want to say one thing, leave you with one message, and hopefully near 5,000 members that were on this call, you will take it back to your barns and spread the word. Just to put this in a little bit of perspective, we have come a long way. From changing our Constitution, to eliminating the 2/3 rule, to electing new, more militant leadership to take on UPS, to all the time and effort that lots of you have put into this year-long contract campaign. And we have accomplished a lot in negotiations so far, as Brother Sawyer said. Truly an unprecedented series of victories, some that many of us never thought we would see in our lifetimes. And we have done that because through all of this, we stood united. That is our strength. That is the source of our power as workers. Without it, we have nothing. We have accomplished a lot, but we are not done. During the next 5 weeks or so, we will finish the job and we will achieve victory for all UPS Teamsters, and we will make history, setting a standard that will lead the way for all the working people of this country. And we will do so together, united, one union, one goal. We will lift each other up, we will not tear each other down, and we will cross that finish line together. Stand in solidarity, brothers and sisters, and we will never be defeated. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.